everybody. Thank you for joining me again. It is another battle report. This one was a game between myself and Nat. I'm playing the Dread Elves and Nat is playing the Ogre Khans. If you are enjoying these battle reports, do please subscribe to my channel. I think I've got about 10 subscribers at the moment, which is very early days, but I'm hoping to get that number up substantially. So do hit that like and subscribe button, please. Right, let's get into the army lists and then we'll crack on with deployment after that. Okay, here are the army lists. I'm not going to read these out to you, ladies and gents. If you do want to take a closer peek, then just hit that pause button. So let's get into deployment. Okay, so here are in deployment then. The deployment scenario was the marching columns, so we were both, as it happened, deploying left to right. The secondary objective is to secure the target, so you can see the two targets there. So let's just go through my list and Nat's list. I'll start at the top with mine. A unit of Dark Raiders here, well, 2 units of Dark Raiders in fact, and this is because I'm planning for my Dark Raiders to harass and harangue Nat's scraplings and his tribesmen. So what I've actually done here is deploy with targets in mind for each of my units. So my deployment is really in response to Nat's. So anyway, pair of Dark Raiders, 3 Medusas here with 4 units of auxiliaries. You can see my BSB and Oracle there in the middle. And then my 3 hunting chariots and my 3 hydras. On that side, scraplings who are scouts, 3 tribesmen, big unit of scrappling archers here. This big unit here is his mercenary veterans. Then he's got his bombardiers, a scratapult here, big unit of saber-toothed tigers, bruisers here, then a rock and a mammoth hunter, and he's got his shaman in this unit here, and he's got his Khan BSB in this unit here. So that's deployment. There you go. Okay, so we're into vanguards here, and you can see that Nat has vanguarded both of his scrappling units. The one that was here is now in the field, and the one that was in the field is now coming to harass my Medusas. I have to apologise, I took this photo before vanguarding my own Dark Raiders here up the flank, but I didn't vanguard this unit because Nat has left me on with a charge here, so I'm hoping for the first turn, and if I get it I'll be able to immediately charge this unit of scraplings here. So let's see how that goes. So that's vanguards anyway. Okay, so we're into Nat's movement 1 here, and despite me getting +3 for deployment, Nat managed to get the first turn, so he's escaped the potential charge here from the Dark Raiders, but never mind. So anyway, he's trapped a couple of units as he's moving, a couple of terrain pieces with his trappers as he's moving around, but apart from that, it's just a general advance forwards. He's got his bombardiers still benefiting from the cover of the ruins here. Big threat down the side here. I'm quite concerned about this rock, but we'll get into that a bit more later. So that's Nat's movement 1. Okay, so we're at the end of Nat's turn 1 here then. And he's in his magic phase, he has got a fireball off and he's killed an auxiliary, and his bombardiers have killed a few auxiliaries as well. The scraplings have done a wound on the Medusa here, and the catapult has killed a couple of auxiliaries as well. So just some early sort of scratching at the surface with my auxiliaries here. There is a marker on these bombardiers because he took a dangerous terrain test for moving through the ruins, but then we later realised that shouldn't be there, so that will disappear later. But yeah, just some early sort of scratching away at my auxiliary units with his shooting. So that's the end of Nat's 1. Okay, so my movement 1 here then, and you can see my raiders in both cases are moving into position to shoot off the scraplings. I want to get rid of them, they're going to be a pain. I've lost 1 for the traps in the process over here, but I'm not too worried about that. The Medusas are just sort of moving into position later because I don't expect to be able to do much damage to this unit. My plan is to delay it for the entirety of the game really. But the interesting bit is on this side of the board over here. Because there's some big, heavy, hard-hitting units over here. And I don't really want to engage them in combat until I've softened them up. So I thought about going in for a long charge and hoping to get a couple of Hydras in on the Rock because I need to charge it rather than it charge me. But in the end, I decided to use time. I think time is on my side here, backing off with the Hydras to let the hunting chariots take out the Rock. It's not an ideal target for them because it halves their multiple wounds, but with so many chariots, I should be able to inflict quite a bit of harm to it. And then once that's done, the Hydras will be able to sort out the saber tusks is what I'm thinking, and I can start scratching away at the bruisers as well. So there you go. That's the end of my movement 1. End of my turn 1 here then. In the magic phase, I've got Will of the Wisp off on the veterans. I'm trying to slow them down here, giving them random movement 2d6. I'm thinking that they'll get an average of 7 rather than they're guaranteed, what is it, 10, 12, something like that. I've also got Bewitching Glare off on the tribesmen that were here. That, as you can see, is going to enable my auxiliaries to sort of rip through them pretty quickly. And I've got Twisted Effigy off on the Bombardier, so I've had a really good magic phase. Got all 3 spells off. Nat had some shocking rolls. And that's basically going to prevent them from shooting, so they can lumber forwards. I don't like Bombardiers. Their strength 4 shots are not good for my auxiliaries. So my chariots did 3 wounds to the Rock, so that's good. That's half of its profile. The raiders over here killed some scraplings, but they didn't panic. And the raiders over here completely failed to do anything, so that was disappointing. As I mentioned, the auxiliaries took out the tribesmen and also did a wound on the bruisers over here with this rightmost unit, and that was the end of my turn 1. Okay, we are moving into Nat's turn 2 here then. And you can see that his veterans have gone a good distance despite random movement anyway, so that was a bit annoying. The saber tusks failed a charge on one of the chariots, which that was always a risk, but I got away a bit lucky with that. And he's moved his Rock here behind the hill, so this is quite good news because it's heading towards a barrage of shots which can work away on its armor. I'm quite happy with what's going on over here. Nat can't bring his Mammoth Hunter too close to my Hydras for fear of the chariots. So he's out of the charge range actually of the chariots, but I'm still quite happy with the positioning over there. So yeah, there you go. And the Bombardiers didn't move in spite of the Twisted Effigy, so that's it. That's Nat's movement 2. Okay, so we're into Nat's turn 2 here then. Well, we're at the end of Nat's turn 2, really. He got Flaming Swords off on his scraplings, which then enabled his shooting to panic and force off the raiders who failed their discipline test. So that was a bit annoying. And his Scratapult did 3 wounds on my auxiliaries over here. So that was that. That was Nat's turn 2. Okay, so into my movement 2 here then. You can see I've charged this unit of scraplings with this raiders. I'm not going to put anything to chance with their shooting again. So that's that. And then I've moved the Hydras into this sort of middle position. What I'm trying to get Nat to do is declare a long charge on this Hydra here. I think one Hydra should be able to take out a unit of saber-toothed tigers by itself anyway, but I'm wanting the bruisers to come around here and maybe sort of get some combo off on them. But I'm also mindful of sending a bit more oomph this way with the Rock and the big unit of mercenaries over here. So that's what's going on with them. Medusas are moving out into position 1 immediately to have this unit kind of run this way, and I want to keep this busy killing chaff really. And then the others prepped for later. And then the chariots over here, job number 1, take out the Mammoth Hunter. Once he's gone, what Hydras I leave over here will be able to do some breath attacks on these bruisers. I don't want to get into combat with these bruisers because they're at least strength 6, maybe even 7. So yeah, take him out so that they become free is the plan. That's the end of my movement 2. Okay, so into my turn 2 then, and I've had a really good turn 2. The chariots managed to take out the Mammoth Hunter, and the auxiliaries finished off the Rock with some combined shooting. I had put some various spells onto him in order to sort of limit his movement, because I was aware of a charge on the Hydra here. But it didn't turn out to be necessary. I'd reduced his movement, and then whatever number 6 was, well, I can't actually remember what number 6 was, and I forgot to write it down. Anyway, so that was that. So I got rid of the Rock and the Mammoth Hunter with some shooting, and the Raiders smashed through the Scraplings and ran a decent distance, which means that when this unit comes in here, he's not going to be able to overrun into the side of my Raiders, which is good. Oh, and the auxiliaries killed, well, two wounds off the mercenaries. That's no big deal. That's the end of my turn 2. Okay, so we're into Nat's movement 3 here then. You can see he's made 2 charges. He's closed on the Medusa, which of course he's got to do, otherwise it'll just hang around in his way all day, so that's a completely sensible thing to do. And he's got the long charge off on the Hydra with his unit of saber-toothed tigers. So that's that. Apart from that, bruisers have moved up here, and his tribesmen are still sort of hanging out in the ruins, and his scraplings are still sort of hanging out over here. So, oh, and he's still got this pair in the field as well. So yeah, there you go. That's Nat's movement 3. Okay, so we're on to the end of Nat's turn 3 here then, and it was during Nat's turn 3 that I got really annoyed with myself and realised that I'd failed to move my Oracle into a much bigger bunker, because the other one had got more or less flattened at the end of the last game. But I got away with it. He got flaming swords off on his catapult, and then blazed the unit, but between them they only did a few wounds, so I completely got away lucky with that. He also got Children of Umi off on his mercenaries. The Scraplings, between them, killed a couple of raiders, and the Scratapult killed a couple of auxiliaries. So that was that. Then he smashed through the Medusa, as you would expect, and he almost overran into the side of the Dark Raiders. I'd forgotten to consider how wide this unit was, so he almost caught them, but not quite. And the Hydra did away with the saber-tooths with some significant ease. They broke and were caught, and that's why the Hydra's position has moved. So yeah, there you go. That was Nat's turn 3. Okay, so into my movement 3 here then, and with the Mammoth Hunter and the Rock and the saber-toothed tigers having disappeared on this side of the board now, this is leaving me in a position where I can start to hound the bruisers. I don't want to get into combat with them. They're way too strong for me. But I can start to sort of breathe fire on them. I can't fit all 3 Hydras in, so what I've done is put one a really long distance away so that if he does charge, he's unlikely to make it, and then come around to breathe fire with 2 and have some supporting shooting from the chariots as well. So I'm hoping to start carving up this unit over time. So that's what's going on there. On this side of the board, Nat's overrun has put him in a position where if I shuffle this Medusa to the side slightly, then he can't actually see it. So this is playing to my advantage, because that's one more turn that I can use my chaff. So the Medusa's shuffled over. The Raiders here have just sort of made themselves available should Nat declare a charge, so that they can flee. And if they were to flee, 12 wouldn't take them off the board. So they're quite nicely positioned there. So let's see whether he takes the bait, really. That's it. Yeah, that's my movement 3. Okay, so this is the end of my turn 3, and I'm a little bit less displeased with myself. I've remembered to move my Oracle General, so that's good. In my magic phase, I got Crippling Fatigue off on the Mercenaries and Twisted Effigy off on the Bombardiers, so they're not going to be shooting at me again, which is nice. In spite of my re-rolling to wounds with my Crippling Fatigue, my auxiliaries, who all shot at this unit here, only did 1 wound on them, so that was a bit frustrating. And the Hydras and the Chariots between them inflicted a total of 5 wounds on the Bruisers, so some damage over here, starting to take away a bit of this unit, but it wasn't my most effective turn 3. So there you go, that's the end of my turn 3. Okay, so this is Nat's movement 4 then. You can see he's reformed his unit over here, ready to come after these auxiliary units. He's moved his bombardiers up, sick of them sort of standing in the ruins and not doing anything. And he's come around here with his bombardiers, with his bruisers. I'm not sure this is such a good idea. He realises, I think, by now that I'm anxious about having this unit in combat, but I'm not so anxious that I wouldn't try a rear charge on it. So yeah, they've only gone as far as they have because I got the aspect of witchcraft off on them, which reduced their movement. So it's been very much about slowing down some of Nat's units along the way as well. But anyway, there you go. Risky position for them to be in. So that's the end of Nat's movement 4. Okay, so end of Nat's turn 4 here then. I forgot to mention he took a couple of dangerous terrains with this unit when he marched out of the ruins. He didn't march earlier in the game, which is why he didn't take them earlier. In the magic phase, he got Children of Umi off on his bruisers and Blaze as well, so bulking them up really, giving them a bit of a buff. And with the aspect from Flaming Swords, he blazed off the 1 auxiliary, so he's taken the points for one of my 4 units there. And then he's fireballed and catapulted and blazed some of the other units, the unit that's bunkering my wizard and BSB. Primarily, and with his scrappling archers he's done a couple of wounds on this Medusa here as well. So there you go, that's the end of Nat's turn 4. Okay, so on to my movement 4 here then, and you can see on this side of the board over here I've not charged yet. I'm looking to use my breath weapon over here, just shave a few more off, a few more chariot shots as well. Now this is a risky strategy because Nat's got a charge on here against one of my auxiliary units. So I'm going to be looking at options for slowing this unit down in the magic phase. Over on this side of the board, I've put my Medusa in the way here. Nat's got to take this out before he can tackle these units, so that's just a bit of chaff. And similar thing over here, chaff in the way with this Medusa, so this unit here has got to take this out before it can do anything else. And then what I'm hoping to do is pincer this with the 2 Hydras who are moving into place. So there you go, that's my movement turn 4. Okay, so end of my turn 4 here then. And in the magic phase I've got Will of the Wisp off on this unit of bruisers, and what I was thinking was to give them random movement and have them sort of trundle forwards but not reach this unit so that I could charge them after some shooting from my chariots. That was a really stupid thing to do because what I allowed for was for Nat to reform this unit. With it being random movement, he can pick it up off the board, place it back down facing any direction and then move. Thankfully Nat didn't realise this, so I could have quite easily ended up killing my own Hydra there. Indirectly, but I got away with it, as you'll see later, so that's I'm thankful for that. The raiders killed the trappers over here. The auxiliaries did a few wounds on the mercenaries, but the main kind of bit in this turn was this Hydra here, the one who does have his breath weapon left, taking 6 wounds off the bombardiers over here. And then the chariots did a couple of wounds on the bruisers as well. So there you go, shaving away at these 2 units really in my turn 4. Okay, now this is the photograph from the end of Nat's turn 5. Apologies, I missed the movement photograph, but basically in the movement phase not a lot happened. Charge on the Medusa here, and a charge on the Medusa in the middle, and then a random movement up here with these bruisers. And that was about your lot really. So in Nat's turn 5, he got Fireball off on one of the Medusas, killing it, and his Scratapult did a further 3 wounds on this unit of auxiliaries here. The Scraplings over here did 1 wound on the Raiders, and then the 2 Medusas that were chaffing up both of these units were killed in combat. So he's got rid of all the main chaff units, although I've still got this one raider over here that you're going to see is going to come in useful. Yeah, there you go. That's it, really. That's the end of Nats 5. Okay, so on to my movement 5 here then. And you can see both of my Hydras have got in on this unit of Bombardiers here. And my Hydra and my 3 Chariots have all made successful charges. They weren't particularly long. I think the longest was a 7 on a Swift Stride. So yeah, they're both in there. The Raider has swung round here to chaff up this unit for one more turn. This is my turn 5, so Nat's going to kill that in his turn 6, which means this block isn't going to get to my my BSB or my Oracle General. And then both of my depleted auxiliary units are now heading for the secondary objectives, because you've got to be within 6 inches of those to claim them. So there you go. That is my movement 5. Okay, so end of my turn 6 here then. I got Bewitching Glare off on the Bombardiers in the magic phase and Crippling Fatigue off on the Bruisers as well. And what that was really about was just maximising the damage output from the Chariots and the Hydras between them. And as you can see, in both cases, the target units were smashed through. This Hydra is actually facing the wrong way because the Shaman survived and fled and was caught. So the Hydra should actually be facing the other way, and I think we span him round later. So just FYI. One wound on the mercenaries, not much to sort of shout about there, and that was it. That was turn 5, but it was a turn 5 where 2 big units were secured. So yeah, it was quite a big deal, that one. Yeah, there you go. End of my turn 5. Okay, so we're into Nat's movement 6 here then, and there's not a lot for him to do really. He has charged at this Dark Raider because he's got to. Might as well take the points for it even if he can't reach this unit here. Yeah, and that's it. That is Nat's movement 6, sorry. Okay, so this is the end of Nat's turn 6 then, and you can see the Bruisers have smashed through the Raider, as you would fully expect them to do, but they've just come short of running into this Chariot here. It was always a long one here. I think they were about 10 inches away, and I think Nat rolled an 8 or a 9, so not quite into combat with the Chariot there, so no bonus points for Nat, I'm afraid. But he did do well with his Scrappling Archers. They took out the scoring unit that was going to secure this secondary objective here, and the Scratapult killed a few auxiliaries over here as well. So that's the end of Nat's turn 6. Okay, so this is the photo from the end of my turn 6. I forgot the movement photograph, but you can see what happened. Basically, the Hydra charged through the ruins and took out the catapult. I got a couple of wounds off on the Scraplings during the phase as well, but there just weren't enough shots left to take it out. So yeah, that was that. Couldn't make any charges with the Chariots. The unit here was too close. I couldn't connect with its front. And I didn't bother repositioning them for shots because there's no way I could decimate this unit in the time that I've got left. So the only thing I did was charge with the Hydra and then move this unit up here to secure this secondary objective. So yeah, that was the end of the game. I did 3,048 points of damage. Nat did 1,215, which was a 15-5, but then the secondary objective swing in my favour made it an 18-2. I really like this Dread Elves list. It's cruel in the way that it slowly kind of cuts away pieces of the opponent's army. It never sort of gets 20 zeros, but it consistently scores quite highly, and you can just kind of feel your opponent being carved up phase by phase. It's a bit sadistic in that way, but I suppose that's Dread Elves, isn't it? We both made mistakes in this game. I was very lucky to get away with giving Nat's unit random movement. Nat was lucky that he got the first turn, and I didn't get that early charge off, but yeah, it is what it is. I think Nat needs to get into my chaff a lot quicker. I think he hung back, particularly with his bombardiers. He might as well have surged forward, because if he doesn't get onto my Oracle and my captain, then he's not scoring enough points by taking out 200 point blocks of archers, and you've got to kill all of them in one go as well. So that's certainly a factor in the result, I think. And as well as that, he had the opportunity to vanguard with the saber-toothed tigers by putting the mammoth hunter with them, but didn't. And I think Nat would have been well advised to do that as well. So yeah, I was fairly happy with the way I played. I don't think I made very many mistakes. I can feel myself getting sharper as well. And I really like this list. I liked the way that Witchcraft allowed me to meddle with my opponent's movement phase, which delayed and delayed and delayed, which only played to the advantage with all the armor-piercing shooting that I've got. So yeah, I'm really enjoying playing with this list. So yeah, cool. My next game is against Thomas. I'll be playing Sylvan Elves, against Sylvan Elves rather, for the first time in a long time. So there will be another battle report around about this time next week. So that's it, everybody. Thank you if you've stuck it out until the end. If you haven't hit the subscribe or like button, then please do so. That's it for today, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.